Around the world, a race is underway. A race to build the most advanced chips, not the snack, but the semiconductors. These chips are the brains of modern-day electronics. They power every gadget that you use. They are a strategic asset. They also make a very lucrative business, an industry worth over $500 billion. Now, India wants a slice of this pie, but India's ambitions have suffered a blow. A major joint venture has collapsed. Vedanta and Foxconn have decided to part ways. They announced a partnership last year, a joint venture. The plan was to set up a factory to manufacture chips. The deal was worth $19.5 billion. Now it has collapsed. The question is why? Why did the deal go sour? India wants to become a hub for building chips. Will this setback hurt New Delhi's plans? That's what we'll discuss tonight, starting with the latest. Foxconn and Vedanta called off their joint venture yesterday. Foxconn is a Taiwanese company, a major electronics manufacturer. Vedanta is an Indian company, a leading natural resources conglomerate. They joined hands in September last year. Foxconn had the expertise in technology. Vedanta understood the raw material needs. It also knew how to operate in India. So it looked like the perfect partnership, at least on paper. Turns out it wasn't. Their joint venture lacked an important ingredient, the know-how of building chips. What they needed was a technology partner, and they did look for one. Reports say a European company had been identified, but the talks remained deadlocked. Apparently, this player wanted more skin in the game. In the end, it did not work out, and the deal fell apart. India's Minister for Electronics and IT spoke about this. His name is Rajiv Chandrasekhar, and this is what he said, I'm quoting, "It was well known that both companies had no prior semiconductor experience or technology and were expected to source fab tech from a tech partner." That did not happen. Vedanta and Foxconn had submitted a proposal. They were seeking permissions for a factory, but without a technology partner, they couldn't move ahead. So the joint venture has collapsed. Now that is the official explanation, but there could be more to this story. Since the joint venture was announced, the plan saw repeated changes. Initially, the state of Maharashtra was chosen to set up the factory. This was in July 2022, but in September, the project was moved to Gujarat. Apparently, they offered better incentives. Then there were regulatory troubles. Last month, Vedanta was fined. India's markets regulator SEBI imposed a penalty. This was over the semiconductor joint venture. SEBI said Vedanta did not disclose its partnership with Foxconn in the right manner. And Vedanta was asked to cough up around $36,000. And now, about 2 weeks later, the whole thing has been called off. So what looked like the perfect deal became a series of hurdles. No partners, no permissions, and now no deal. Like I said, we don't know the full story yet. Vedanta and Foxconn say they want to work independently. India's Communication Minister Ashwini Vaishnav has said, and I'm quoting, "Both Foxconn and Vedanta are committed to India's semiconductor mission." Vedanta says it has other partners lined up. In fact, let me quote from their statement. "We will continue to grow our semiconductor team. India remains pivotal in repositioning global semiconductor supply chains." What about Foxconn? They say they're evaluating their options and they want to establish what they call, and I'm quoting, "a diversity of local partners." In fact, let's look at the full statement. Foxconn is committed to India and sees the country successfully establishing a robust semiconductor manufacturing ecosystem. But it doesn't mean the Taiwanese giant is exiting India. They have other operations. Foxconn makes Apple products like iPhones in India. It has a factory in the southern state of Tamil Nadu. Recently, Foxconn said it will make 20 million iPhone units there, plus employ around 100,000 people. Foxconn also has plans to build a new factory in Karnataka. Having said that, these are all assembly plants. India wants to graduate to manufacturing, and it has just the right conditions. So the plans have not been derailed, they say, but they'll certainly be delayed. And to that extent, it is a setback. You see, India is very keen to position itself as a global electronics manufacturing hub. It has just the right conditions, a big market, a large and young workforce, and enough space to accommodate large projects, both physically and politically. For the longest time, China had this advantage, but American sanctions and geopolitical tensions are forcing companies to look for alternatives. And this is where India comes in. This is where India stands a chance. The government senses an opportunity. It wants to attract global players. It is focusing on the production of electronics, both for domestic consumption and for exports. In fact, the government has launched special manufacturing schemes, offered incentives worth over $6 billion. Some projects have already taken off, like the one to make smartphones in India. Companies like Apple have latched onto these incentives. They now want to make 18% of their iPhones in India. Same for chip manufacturing. Similar incentives are on offer. In fact, recently a major deal was announced. US chip maker Micron will set up a plant in India. The project is worth $2.7 billion. So it's all going in the right direction. But what we have so far are small wins. India has not been able to get the big players. Foxconn and Vedanta are parting ways. Intel has not spelled out any clear plans vis-a-vis India. Neither has TSMC, that's Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation. Now, these are the big guns. They will have to be roped in. It's okay to start with assembling electronics, but to win this game, you have to move to manufacturing and eventually to chip design. So this is a setback, and India has a long way to go.